the actors have a chance to talk about themselves and their careers. Join us now for the next hour as we explore the marvelous industry of acting through actors and actresses from today's exciting show business world. And now, here's your host, Ron Brewington.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ron Brewington, and welcome to the Actor's Choice. Today, we got a very special program. We have two wonderful guests. Both of these persons, male and female, one male, one female. I've known them for years. I've worked with them. I've known them professionally and personally for years, and it's an honor and a pleasure to have both of them here today. Our first guest really needs no introduction. You've seen her thousands of times on television. She's an award-winning television broadcast pioneer in Hollywood who became the youngest inductee into the Broadcasters Hall of Fame in 1993 for her outstanding reports on black entertainment television, or as we call it, BET. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the lovely, the very talented April Sutton.
All right.
Thank you, April.
So
Thank you
good
for
to
coming
be
out.
here.
We've been trying to get you out here for a long time.
We've known each other how many, we won't say decades, let's just say years. Yeah.
I like that decades. I like that decade.
Yeah.
So it all began for you in the great state of Ohio.
I'm a Buckeye.
Pretty girls come out of the Buckeye State, don't they?
Well, that's what they tell me.
You know any other pretty girls that come out of the state?
Oh, well, let's see. There's Halle Berry. Let's see. There's Jane Kennedy. Do I have to keep going?
Keep going.
We just stop right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My goodness. What actually, all these years that you thought about it, what made you get into broadcasting as you came up through your childhood?
Well, you know what's interesting? My father used to record. He had a recorder. We were always recording in the house. So I was always grabbing a comb, acting like I was doing a broadcast.
Oh.
And I had been making tapes since I was a child. So this has been following me ever since I was about maybe 7 years old, about 6, 7 years old. I was making audio tapes at that time as a kid. What's so ironic is that when I decided to go to college, I ended up getting a scholarship in music. But it wasn't until I started taking speech classes that my professor said, I think that you have a gift in communication. I think we want you to be on the Kent State University speaking competition team.
Hey.
And I didn't have to audition.
All right.
So ironically, I started winning trophies for the university. So I won trophies for state, then Northeastern United States, and then I qualified for nationals, and then I placed in nationals. And, you know, to be a national speaker collegiately around the country, they usually choose 25 top collegiate speakers, and I was one of them.
I mean, you and 24 others.
Yes. So I ended up changing my major from music to television.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I ended up getting my first job at WJW TV8, which is CBS in Cleveland, as a television reporter.
How long did you stay there?
I was there 2.5 years, and then I transferred to CBS in Houston to KHOU Channel 11. I did a talk show there in Houston, Texas.
Just trying out the different positions in the industry.
Yeah.
I think anybody who wants to get into broadcasting, that's the way to do it.
Absolutely.
Try a little DJ work, try a little news work, and see what you like.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as I did that myself in my career, I started out in being a DJ. Yeah. And which was great.
Yes.
I loved it. I loved the party. I love all the things that went with it.
Yeah.
But I said, you know, for some odd reason, I like news better.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me, and it happens to you and everybody else.
Yeah.
So then, by and by, when did this organization called BET come into your life?
BET came into my life around 1985, and Mr. Johnson, the founder, had just been on the air just a couple of years. It started in 1980, but it was not a full 24-hour channel at the time. So, of course, they were back east, but they wanted to have a presence in Los Angeles. And at that time, they had not really invested in a building. So there was only about 6 of us that started the West Coast, I'll say the office, but it really was not an office. It was really a garage in Glendale. A lot of people really don't know this story, but the beginning of the West Coast facility started with myself, Glenn Cooper, the editor, Steve Ferrier, my cameraman. We had Philip G., which was overseeing the garage. We had Sandy White doing news. And that was basically it. That was the West Coast BET. Can you imagine in 1984-85? And I've watched this network grow, which is unbelievably crazy because I remember the very beginning and the formative stages of the network. A lot of people don't know this story. Yeah.
Phil G. I remember Phil.
Yeah.
What happened to him?
He's in Atlanta. He's in Atlanta now. We don't speak very often because he's busy and I'm always ripping and running around doing my thing. But I'm just so proud of the fact that we were part of the West Coast operation of the very start
Okay.
of making the West Coast happen.
I was going to say, for the record, let it be
BET.
known, you were the first person.
I was the first hired Hollywood reporter on
God
the
be
first
blessed.
black television network in American history.
How did people out on the West Coast take BET?
Well, you know, it was very complicated, Ron. In fact, I remember I had to go through hurdles trying to get a press credential for the Oscars. They had no idea who BET was back in 1984, 85. And so when I finally received my first press credential to cover the Oscars, we had to turn it back in because they had it all wrong. It said April Sutton, Black Entertainment Tonight. They thought that we were, I guess, affiliated with the TV show Entertainment Tonight. They had no idea that we were a black television network. So I had to have them to reissue a whole nother badge for me and the cameraman and the field producer because they thought that we were Entertainment Tonight. We were actually Black Entertainment Television Network.
Network, yes.
A television network.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had to go through this process many times before the people in Los Angeles and in Hollywood realized that we were really a network. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. There was a time when you got a chance to see a lot of celebrities. Can you talk about some of the celebrities that you met
Oh my goodness. I
on
was
the red carpet and other places?
well, let's see. I've covered every major Hollywood event. Literally, I mean, from the Golden Globes to the Emmys, the People's Choice Awards, the Grammy Awards, and of course the Oscars. But I think for me, one of the greatest moments was when Michael Jackson got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I was there for that ceremony, and people literally started fainting. We were carrying bodies over the barricade over our head because people on the site of Michael, literally, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know, when they saw Michael, they started literally fainting. Females and males were fainting at the sight of Michael. And at that time, Johnny Grant was the mayor of,
Yes,
of
honorary mayor of
Hollywood,
Hollywood, yes.
and he had to stop the ceremony several times where Michael had to leave and disappear, and then they had to bring him back out again because people started pushing and shoving. But that was a great moment. And also, I was there the year that Michael got his 8 Grammy Awards, and that was pretty crazy. I can't even describe that particular event because I had covered so many other Grammy events, but nothing quite like that. So for me, that was a highlight. And I think also the year that both Denzel and Halle Berry received an Oscar on the same night. I believe that was 2002, if I'm thinking of my memory correctly here. But somewhere around in there, both of them received an Oscar award on the same night.
History.
And that was history. And then
Yes.
Marvin Gaye getting his Grammy Award. That was very special.
Yes.
To see him finally get the respect that he deserved after being such a great Motown artist.
You're very shy about it, but at the same time, you were a beautiful lady out here. Everybody knew April.
Well, I've worked hard.
Yes,
and,
you did.
And I think it's paid off. I've been very consistent and very determined in my path here. And it's a responsibility that you take serious. You don't take it for granted.
Right.
And also being in the presence of so many celebrities, you have a great responsibility
Yes.
of making sure that you interview them and give them in the best light to the public because these people are quite popular around the world. So I've been very fortunate.
There was no scandal about you. People, they would see you come in, do your job, get that microphone. I used to watch you. Say, look at that young lady, look at that young lady. Because there weren't too many of us out there at that time.
Oh, was no.
Right.
When I covered, listen, the year that I covered the Grammys, when Michael won those 8 Grammy Awards, we were the only African American TV crew in the section because they have different sections. They have the radio section, the print journalist section, and then the video TV people. And we were the only African American crew in there in the 1980s. Can you imagine?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there were many times I was standing alone, if you will.
Like a wolf among a pack of sheep.
Yes.
Or it's the other way around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It was an experience.
It really was.
But like I said, a lot of people knew you. You had a good reputation. You would do interviews. They loved the way you did interviews.
Yeah.
What's the secret that you had when you did those celebrity interviews?
Well, I think you really got to listen and pay attention to you do your research ahead of time,
Right.
obviously. And if they're up for an award, you're hoping that they will win. But if they don't win and if they come backstage, you still have to gracefully interview them.
Yes.
So I think it's just a matter of getting acquainted with the celebrity and doing the research. And if you do that, then you'll be pretty much prepared once you meet with them face to face.
Got you.
Yeah.
Now, you have a trademark. Would you please tell us about your trademark?
Well, it's always the sunglasses. I mean, this has been my thing for quite some time. In fact, when I was on BET, I never wore the sunglasses, But as I got older, I just thought, well, my career has made a shift, but I always wanted to carry something that reminded me of my past, which is Hollywood, which was, my first break into television in Los Angeles. And of course, you would always see celebrities with shades on. Right. So I felt, well, if I can get them light enough, and then they kind of look like glasses, but kind of cool, then maybe I can get away with it. So I've actually gotten away with it.
Yes, you have.
No one has complained so far. So. Yeah.
In fact, if someone was to see you without glasses, they say, "Who are you?"
Exactly.
Where's the real April? Well, the real April Sutton, please stand up.
Yes, yes.
Canada. So 1996, then you became the contributing West Coast TV correspondent for Geraldo Rivera.
Geraldo Rivera, what a wonderful experience. Yes, he was looking for a correspondent to cover the O.J. Simpson case. Mm-hmm. And, Geraldo, a wonderful investigative reporter. I mean, this man had been in the front of the line doing investigations, for years. Mm-hmm. And I learned so much by watching him and listening and paying attention to the way that he would execute his reports. Yes. He was very thorough. Mm-hmm. But for me, that was a wonderful experience.
So you learned a lot from him.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a great inspiration.
He did have a unique style of journalism.
Yes.
That today you see a little bit of it. Even Trump has it today.
Yeah. Well, yes. You know, very gregarious.
Very gregarious.
Very aggressive.
Very aggressive.
Yes.
And it worked.
For them.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because at that point in time, historically, television was coming into its own different ways because you had seen a lot of changes along the way. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting to watch the changes that were going on, the personalities, their personality, coming on board and seeing how it was done.
Yes.
But April Sutton, you were right there at the top at that time, lady.
I was.
Yeah.
And you were too, Mr. Ron Brewing.
We were having fun. It was having fun.
Well, you were on the front of the line too. I want all the viewers out here to know this man really is a legendary in L.A., and I've just admired your work. And,
thank you.
And you have just been a tremendous leader, not only a broadcaster, but a leader in Los Angeles.
Thank you.
I can't say that for everybody, but I can say it about this man right here. Yeah.
Now, while you were doing all this work, something else came into your life, something called Tanzania. Can you talk about that?
Well, in 2005, I received my very first presidential invitation to the United Nations. And I started listening to the various heads of state speaking about what was going on in their region around the world. And of course, when you hear about the plight of poverty and hunger and all of these things that are happening in Africa, if you have any kind of compassion, you really want to try to do something.
Right.
And so
Especially when you're a celebrity.
Well, you really want to try to do something. And so I decided to get in contact with one of the sports companies to see if I could get tennis shoes. And I wanted to be able to present shoes to children in Africa in various villages. And so they worked along with me, and we were able to get thousands and thousands of dollars worth of brand new tennis shoes to Africa. And so I had targeted, of course, Tanzania. And it was just a wonderful situation to make this happen for so many children.
Wow.
Yeah.
But April, you didn't stop there. You started a little event, I know it well, Diversity Celebration.
Yes.
Tell us about that, please.
Well, once you go to the United Nations and you're meeting all of these presidents from around the world, we have a video clip, actually.
Please, let's see.
But this video clip kind of shows some of the world leaders that I've met at the United Nations through my course of being at the UN for about 10 years. But once you're around these heads of state, you begin to realize that there's something else going on in the world other than Hollywood. Hollywood is kind of hard to beat, believe me, but then you begin to realize that there is a bigger situation happening around our planet. And so I wanted my experience at the UN to make an impact in Los Angeles some kind of way. And when I realized that in LA we have over 100 consulates right here in this city, but we know nothing about our consul generals. We don't really have enough events to focus and show what their work is about. So I created the first annual Diplomats Diversity Gala. And I wanted to create this annual event so that we could spotlight these consul generals and ambassadors and give them a platform so that those of us in LA, we will learn a little bit more about the people here in LA outside of just celebrities, because we're very entrenched into honing in on celebrities in LA. But there's more to Los Angeles than celebrities. And so I wanted to create an event annually where we could spotlight people other than the celebrities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ron, would you please roll the tape, please? Okay, while he gets that together. because I remember, and I thank you very, very much. What a lot of people don't know is that you came to me and said, "Ron, would you do me a favor?" You didn't say favor, you said flavor. You said, "Would you please be the opening MC for me and get this thing started?"
Every year.
And every year we've been doing it.
Well, I just want everyone out there to know that there is just no other individual that I would think about being the master of ceremonies at my annual gala other than this man sitting right next to me. I mean, what a wonderful union he and I have had as friends and as fellow broadcasters for so many years.
Yes.
And you do such a spectacular job.
Look who my boss is. You know I got to do a good job. Got to do the best. Okay, you ready, sir? Here we go.
Of bringing this all together?
Well, first of all, I am actually just a real advocate of the human spirit of all races, all cultures, all religions, all people from around the whole planet, really. And I mean, I just felt that it was important for us to engage different cultures and different countries. I go to the UN every year. I get a presidential invitation to the United Nations, and there I've been able to meet many, many diplomats and heads of state from around the world. So I felt that because I'm in Los Angeles, we're so accustomed to seeing the red carpet for celebrities and putting so much of the spotlight on celebrities, and I felt, well, we have a lot of public servants right here in LA that never get the accolade and they never get the opportunity to be on stage. So this is something that I just came up with because I felt their work is so important. It's so vital for them to be recognized and to be honored as well. So for me, this was just like a no-brainer. I wanted to be able to recognize, people from South Africa and Malaysia and Costa Rica like we did this evening, and I'm hoping to continue this effort in the future.
Oh, right. Now, that says a lot.
Yeah.
And thank Peter. When I see him, I'm going to see him next week. I'll say, "Hey, man, we used one of your videos with April." Yeah. But it says, and every year, if you've never been to this event, unfortunately, it's limited to access. The public can't come in.
Right. But, invitation only.
Invitation only.
Yes.
But you get a chance to meet all these diplomats. Now, can you go ahead and roll that video that she brought with us? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the video that I think we're going to show is some of the world leaders that I've met from the United Nations.
Okay.
They come to New York every year and they speak and address the General Assembly. There's usually about 190 presidents, prime ministers, and members of the royal family that attend the United Nations General Assembly. They call it the Great Debate, and it's coming up. I think this is the video.
Birimbau,
marvelous.
Thank you.
What's it like, being at the United Nations and meet all these big folks?
It is really something. I can tell you that, Ron, of course, I thought that, of course, being in Hollywood and interviewing celebrities at the Oscars and Grammys and People's Choice Awards and the Emmy Awards was just, how do you top that?
Right. How do you top that?
How do you top that?
Right.
It's just, you're around all these celebrities like Michael Jackson and Prince and Whitney Houston and Madonna and Jennifer Lopez. And then you get the opportunity to go to New York and you're looking and you're seeing His Majesty, the King of Saudi Arabia, the King of Morocco, President Jacob Zuma of South Africa, all of these heads of state, President Chege Kikwete of Tanzania, and the list just goes on and on and on. But not only do you get a chance to listen to them speak, but then you get a chance to meet them. And that, for me, was really quite extraordinary, I can tell you, because these individuals are not entertaining the world, they are really running this world.
Exactly.
And so for me, it was an eye-opener. It inspired me, of course, to continue to move forward in my life mission. And that's one of the reasons why I created the Diplomats Diversity Gala here in Los Angeles, because I wanted to make sure that all that what I was learning and being exposed to at the United Nations would not go for naught. I wanted to create something that would make a dent, and I wanted to pioneer something in LA that had never been done before. And this gave me a wonderful opportunity, and the vision came immediately after I had been to the UN a couple of years. And then I just came up with the idea to do the annual Diplomats Diversity Gala.
Now, I was born and raised in New York City, and I remember the United Nations building, this huge building.
Yes.
Well, like you say, all these diplomats from all around the world
Yes.
come together to try to keep peace in the world. If there's something going on in Russia, whatever country it's going on,
Exactly.
these people come together and keep peace.
Yes.
In 2011, a marvelous thing happened to you. Can you please tell us about that?
In 2011, I was appointed Ambassador of Goodwill by the government of Kenya.
Yes.
And for me, it was a wonderful, wonderful moment. It was so unexpected. In fact, the day that I was appointed, I had no idea that it was going to happen.
Right.
They had just told me, April, we want you to show up and just give a formal speech to the people of Kenya. So I was just prepared to give a speech, not knowing that I was going to be appointed that night. I had no acceptance speech. I had no thank you speech. In fact, when I realized what was going on, I told my friend who was sitting next to me, I said, I think I heard them say ambassador, but I'm not sure if I heard right. But I want to make sure that I get my mom on the phone and put her on the speaker. Because if this is getting ready to happen, what I think is going to happen, even though my mom is in Ohio, she has got to be in on what's getting ready to happen. And she has to hear this moment. So we got my mom on the phone, and she was on the phone the entire time when the whole process of me being appointed ambassador was happening.
Yes.
And even though she wasn't there physically, she was listening to it via telephone. Can you imagine? Yeah, and so this was really...
I know she was proud.
It was a great moment. It was a great moment.
And I was lucky enough to be there to see it.
You were there. Oh,
and
my
then they
goodness.
cut the cake and all that good
Yes,
stuff. And now
yeah.
they formally call you ambassador.
Yes, they do.
Wow.
Yeah.
To this day. I mean,
Yeah.
big people from around the world,
Yes.
diplomats,
Yes.
they call you ambassador.
They do. It's an honor.
Wow. Now, you get a chance, I know, to go around to different places and give speeches. Tell us about that, please.
Well, you know, giving speeches, you always want to make sure that when you're addressing a particular country that you do the research, because so many countries have different historical aspects, and you want to make sure that you're quite accurate with the information, and it can be kind of complicated because you don't want to get one country's history confused with another country's history.
Yes.
And when you're dealing with so many countries, it's so easy to get it a little confused at times. But for me, it's just been a great joy. I've been very entrenched in making sure that I stay abreast of what's going on with various countries around the world so that I'm always prepared and ready, because you never know when you're going to get that phone call and they're going to call and solicit your support to speak to their audience.
Now, you've received numerous awards.
Yeah.
And in 2012, I believe you received the Rising Star Music Award.
Yeah.
And we've got a videotape of that one. Can you roll that for us, Ron, please?
All right.
All right.
Each and every one of you young people, when I started at BET, Bob Johnson, the founder, had a vision. And people laughed at him. They thought, are you kidding? Who needs a black entertainment television? We already have ABC, we have NBC, we have CBS. Why do we need a BET? And so people thought this is kind of a strange thing, but Bob continued to press forward with his vision. For you young people that know of 106 in Park, You young people that watch 106 in Park, well, when I started at BET, There was no 106 in Park. There were a few of us on the air, a man by the name of Donnie Simpson hosting Video Soul. Remember that? That's my era. And so there were a few of us. There was Donnie Simpson and Sherry Carter and Ed Gordon and Angela Stripling and Robin Bremen. We were the first faces of the first black television network in American history. And I'm very happy to be a part of the BET history. Yes.
All right. The gentleman standing next to you, of course, is John Sly Wilson. Sly Rich.
Yes.
What was the name of that group again?
Sly Wilson. The group. Sly, Slick, and Wicked. Sly, Slick, and Wicked. Yeah.
He's going to spank us next time.
Yeah,
Say,
yeah.
Hey, man, what's the name of my organization?
Yeah.
But again, just a fabulous, fabulous award. I know you get so many of them, but Ambassador, that is marvelous, marvelous. Now, you're going to continue this diversity as long as you live in.
I hope so, yes. I think it's important for us to really salute our consul generals in the city of L.A. We should not forget them. We should salute them and spotlight them and give them a platform so we can learn more about their country. Right. We can learn about their culture and their music and their food and all of the things that make their country unique. This is a big planet. And a lot of times here in Los Angeles, we can really get so saturated with Hollywood celebrities and with, the development of the internet and also cell phones. I mean, we have 24/7 information that we can get information about our celebrities, whether it's Beyonce or Rihanna or whoever. We have access to it all the time. You don't really see a lot of young people trying to get information about diplomats.
No, you don't.
That's really not something that they're really interested in. No. So I'm hoping to challenge that. These things take time. Los Angeles, like I said, we are the entertainment capital of the world here in Los Angeles, i.e. Hollywood. But I do want our community to know that there is more here than just celebrities. We have some very important people who really represent the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're always doing something. What's next for you?
What's next for me? I'm getting an award this month, August, by the people of Trinidad and Tobago, which I'm very excited about. And then after August, I then get on the plane and go to New York for this year's General Assembly at the United Nations. This year is very special because it'll be the last time that President Barack Obama will be giving his address to the General Assembly. So this is very historic, and this is something that I certainly do not want to miss his speech. He's such a great speaker.
I like during the convention, they even talk about, I wish we could get him back for another 4 more years.
Yeah.
They really, really,
he's
that
done a
black
great
man
job.
did a lot for a lot of
Absolutely.
people. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
How do you, April Sutton, want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as a person that was very serious about their work, a person that was very ambitious and focused, a person that was able to effectively push out distractions, because when you live in Los Angeles, there are many distractions that can just pop up in your path, and you really have to be focused if you're going to do something. There are sacrifices that have to be made, and so I want to be remembered as a person that was willing to make the sacrifices, but also make a difference in this world and hopefully to inspire someone somewhere on planet Earth.
Lady, you do have a way with words, indeed, indeed. Well, one thing we'd like to share with you is I make it a policy every time ladies come to our show.
This is so, look at this. Now,
it's only one little white rose.
this is so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ron.
And when
this
you
is
come
lovely.
back again, we want to bring you back again.
Okay.
And let us know more what you're doing, particularly as the ambassador, and what you're doing for the world. Because, as they say, a lady came out of Ohio.
Yes.
And she's given the world quite a stir.
Thank you so much, and back at you.
Thank you,
I'm very proud of you and all of your achievements in broadcasting.
Thank you, ma'am. It's a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next guest, this gentleman, he's been in broadcasting now, if you can dig this, for 50 damn years. 50 years. Okay? He's been heard around the world for American Forces radio and television services, bringing the best in music and entertainment to the men and women of the United States Armed Forces. He's worked for several Los Angeles stations, including his current job at KJLH Radio Free 102.3, where he's heard every Saturday morning from 5 to 9 a.m., bringing his audience his own brand of oldies music. Ladies and gentlemen, please, this gentleman is from Detroit, Michigan. He's been around a long time. I love this brother. Please welcome Roland Bynum.
Hey, brother.
Hey, brother. How you doing?
I'm blessed. I'm doing good.
And looking very good today.
Yeah, praise God.
50 years in the business.
Well, actually, a little more than 50 when you count my college years, 1963. To now would be going on 53 years, November the 22nd. That's a very specific date.
I can believe it.
Yeah.
Wow. 53 years. And that 53 years, you've seen a lot of things that happen in radio, because really when we talk about it, what is broadcasting? What is the definition of broadcasting?
That's funny. Let me tell you why that's funny. When I enrolled at Los Angeles City College, I left Detroit and came back home after I joined the Marine Corps. And
that's right, you were in Marine Corps. You know your aunt was in Marine Corps too.
Claudette Robinson.
Yes.
Yes, I know. She's a BAM. We laugh about that all the time. Actually, I wanted to go into nursing.
Okay.
And the nursing classes at Los Angeles City College were sealed off for a year. And as I walked out of the administration office, I turned to my left, and there was a model radio station, and it said, "Push the button." And I pushed the button. And I went home and told my wife at the time that I was going to take some broadcasting classes for a year, just general classes, just to get a feel for it. Well, the reason I told that date, November the 22nd, is because that is the day that John F. Kennedy was assassinated.
That's right, sure was.
Well, why is that important? I was in the Marine Corps with Lee Harvey Oswald. And one of my classmates, Elliot Mintz, who ended up being a publicist for the Stars, was my classmate. He was 18, I was 22. And he interviewed me that day when I screamed, "That's Lee Harvey Oswald," and I was in the Marine Corps with him. And that interview, which I found out 50 years later, went to over 70 cities all over America. I was the first to be interviewed about John F. Kennedy and Lee Harvey Oswald before his wife and his mother. And I heard myself on the air, and it was like instant turn on. It was like, man, this is amazing. Right. So I studied broadcasting, and people asked me, what is broadcasting? And I'd said, well, it's radio. I don't know. I had to learn this thing, right? But yes. it impacted the world, yes, and it impacted me.
Yes.
So
what was your first broadcasting job when you got paid to do that?
1966, my 25th birthday, WAPX, Montgomery, Alabama.
Montgomery, Alabama.
That's when I met James Brown on my 25th birthday. He was performing at Alabama State. Turned out to be a very good friend of mine, all of his professional career, mine as well.
Right. Talking about the Godfather. The
Godfather,
yeah.
So James Brown.
Brought so
An
much
amazing human being. But it was WAPX, Montgomery, Alabama. I worked, turned on the radio station at the transmitter. They were building a studio downtown on Dexter Avenue, directly across the street from Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. Reason why that's important is Dr. Martin Luther King's church in Montgomery, Alabama. And I turned on the transmitter, did the morning shift, and came back and did the afternoon shift. I did 2 shifts.
Made a lot of money, huh?
No, I did not. But I learned my trade. I learned it very quickly as a result of doing 2 shifts.
Gotcha.
And I stayed in Montgomery for 6 months and decided to move on and went back to Detroit, which is my home, WCHB, which is one of the first black-owned radio stations in America. Worked weekends there and worked in the factories. But during the week, I would go into the radio station and practice my craft, due diligence.
Yes.
And as a result, I saw that magnificent Burn Baby Burn monarchy was retiring from KGFJ in Los Angeles.
Right.
I went home and told my wife, I'm going to get that job. She says, no, you're not. I says, yes, I am.
Watch me now.
And the next day, I recorded my show on reel to reel. That's what we had back then. And I sent it to Los Angeles, California, to KGFJ. And 6 weeks later, I got a call. I was coming from Rosenville carburetor plant in Ypsilanti, Michigan. Walked to the door, and my nephew said, Uncle Roland, there's a long-distance telephone call for you. Well, all my friends were local. And my spirit told me that it was the radio station. Sure enough, they were offering me a job. And I promptly accepted it and came to Los Angeles 49 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, when you're talking, you said when you had to go and turn the transmitter on, I'm thinking back in my mind, back in those days, we didn't have the sophisticated equipment that we have now. we had electron tubes back in those days.
Yes.
And we used to have to watch little meters and write little on a board.
You had to get a
Take
third. You had to
readings.
get a first or a third ticket to pass the FCC test, and to operate the transmitter and turn it on. Actually, it was a daytimer, so it wasn't on at night. It turned off at night. That was it. You know,
those are the
so it wasn't a 24-hour radio station.
Right.
It was a daytimer. And you're right. The big tubes and reel-to-reel tapes.
Reel-to-reel tapes, yes.
8 tracks.
Yes. Cart machines.
Cart machines. None of that now.
None of that now.
It's all computer.
Yeah, everything's computerized. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, you as a broadcaster, you generally strive to do something best for your audience. What was your goal to strive to be a broadcaster?
You know, I remember Don McCall, one of my instructors at Los Angeles City College, said that when you turn that mic on, you never know who's listening. And the moment you turn that mic on or get that camera on you, you are going to be a professional at all levels. And I never forgot that. And so I strive to be as professional as I could, and to do the very best that I could every single time I opened the mic. I talked about due diligence. It's not you just walk into the studio and start talking.
Right.
You have to prepare.
Oh, yes.
And the rule of thumb is for every hour that you're on the air, you should prepare for an hour.
Right.
So if you're on the air 4 hours, you should prepare for 4 hours. There are people who, and God bless them, they're that talented, that just walk in 5 minutes before their air shift, and there they go.
Right.
I never did.
Yeah.
I still don't.
I have to plan.
50 years later, I still don't. I still plan my shows. I still do a reflective piece. I still listen to my shows. I have recorded all of my shows, and I listen as I travel, because I am a teacher as well.
Yes.
And as I travel the 80 miles back and forth, I listen as a program director, which I was at KGFJ, eventually rose to that position. So I think it's due diligence, no matter what you do. You got to study and do the research and just listen to your audience.
Right.
You know, if I go to a concert and I listen to what the ladies like. If I hear a song and the ladies like it, I go, I got to play that song.
That's all. Oh, yes,
yeah.
indeed.
So,
but we're in radio. No one sees you, so you can come in there dressed any way you want. But you can also hand a little piece of paper and put down jokes that you got, because I've seen the professional jocks. They have people who write jokes for them and write scripts for them, and it's really
well, that's part of the work.
Right, it's part of the work.
You know, I was blessed. I was fortunate to be to go on a 1,000-watt radio station, 250 at night on Wednesday and Sundays. I was taken out of the 6 to 9 shift, placed 9 to noon as the program director, and made that shift number 1 in Los Angeles out of 80 radio stations.
Wow.
Number 1.
Wow.
And the way that happened is that I consider myself more than just an entertainer, but also a scientist. And I think you need to study the data, study your audience, and study what their wants and needs are. And so I just broke it down into quarter hours. And every quarter hour, they did something different. Every quarter hour, on a Monday was different than on a Tuesday. That was different on a Wednesday. That was different on a Thursday. That was different on a Friday.
Yes.
So that's what I did. And a year later, as it turned out, when the ratings came out, 1971, they screamed, "You're number 1." Well, I had no doubt. And I'm not bragging. I just think that you do the work.
Do the work, right.
And if you work at it, it can happen
You'll be
for
number
you.
1. Yeah.
Number 1.
Yeah. Now, there are 5 different air shifts at most radio stations. What is your favorite air shift? Be it morning drive, midday.
That's funny.
You know, what's your best
What is
shift?
my favorite?
Favorite air shift?
Golly, I've worked them all. I like mornings.
Okay.
I like getting up. I don't have a problem getting up. I think mornings require a lot of research because you're talking to an ongoing audience. The great thing about Los Angeles is that we have a love affair with cars. And so, like it or not, even with the new technology, people still predominantly listen in their automobiles.
Right.
So your drive time shifts, your morning and your afternoon are your highest shifts. The cool time is in the evening, 8 to midnight. And, you can be much different. In 1974, at a natural convention, one of the questions was asked was what is the future of radio? And the question was because FM radio was beginning to take hold, because prior to that, AM radio was the powerful voice in the community. And one of the things that I talked about at that conference in 1974 is that we should be as sophisticated as television. Television is smart. Television in the daytime, they have different type of programming. Game shows, talk shows, and as they move rapidly into the evening, there's a different type of programming that they have in the evening compared to the morning. And my thoughts back then were that radio should take a lesson from television and program accordingly. That Top 40 radio, which came about in the late 50s, all the way through the 60s and the 70s, was still dominating the radio. Well, with the advent of FM radio, you need to think about different types of programming.
Yes.
And so I think Frankie Crocker in New York proved it at WBLS.
Yes.
Frankie's created what we consider urban radio. Frankie was playing album cuts, where most radio stations were just playing 45s. Frankie dove into the albums. There's great music in the albums, and they were being eliminated. They weren't being played in radio. And that was one of my thoughts, too, in 1969 and 70. We need to go into album cuts. So I think you need to pay attention to what the audience is asking, not what you're just. It's not a one-way street. It's a two-way combination. It's the audience and you and the audience.
And particularly in a big city like Los Angeles, at 2 o'clock in the morning, there's a lot of people up and running around.
You better believe it.
And
I did all nights.
Right. That's why you do all nights.
That's right.
You get people call you up, say, hey, I had a great day, I had a bad day, my husband
On
ain't
my
talking
way to
me,
work,
whatever, you know.
All of those
All that
dynamics
stuff.
are involved, yeah.
Because we are the one-way communications to the community.
Right. Well, we're not talking at our audience. We're talking with our audience.
Yes.
And I think that's important. A one-on-one conversation is being held with music and what you do on radio.
Now, while you were doing this job at KGFJ, you happened to get assigned or work with a group called Armed Forces or American Forces Radio and Television Service.
I did. I was very fortunate. Herman Griffith, who had come to KGFJ in Los Angeles, was one of the original African Americans on Armed Forces Radio, and he was walking away from it, and he told me, look, go over there, use my name, and possibility you can get a job. And I did, 1970. And I stayed over there for about 14, 15 years, heard worldwide. The most amazing thing about it, Ron, is that I still get emails from people who listen to me in Iceland, Japan, Germany, I mean, all over the world. It's an amazing thing. Blue of the Temptations told me, he said, Roland, you know, we heard you all over the world. And I was on TWA Airlines when there was a TWA Airlines at the time.
Yes.
You could hear me in Los Angeles, TWA Airlines. He flew to Europe and heard me in Europe. He said, man, I heard you all over the world.
Right.
So that was the blessings that I had to be able to do radio on Armed Forces Radio in Los Angeles and TWA Airlines. So I know I got blessed.
Indeed. Because there was a brother named Don, I can't think of his last name. He worked here in L.A. He used to do he was one of the few black jocks that you had.
Don Tracy.
Don Tracy, right.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. Don and I and Lucky Pierre and some other KGFJ folks are getting together later this month, and I put together a luncheon so we can revisit the KGFJ personalities.
That's great.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to it. It's about 8 of us that are going to reunite.
But it's just amazing what you guys did with Armed Forces, because when I was in the Navy, I remember listening to you guys overseas, and it did a lot to us. It gave us the entertainment. It gave us information. As you know, Bob Hope, he went overseas and did tours for the troops, but you guys are giving us the music. When Robin Williams did Good Morning Vietnam.
You know what? I was absolutely honored to do Armed Forces Radio. I mean, to have an opportunity to broadcast worldwide. And I'm a Marine. So, you know, having served in the United States Marine Corps and now being able to broadcast to our soldiers and soldierettes, as I call them, all over the world was just an honor.
Right.
Yeah, it was a real honor.
Because it brought a piece of America to these people while they were overseas fighting in foreign countries.
Absolutely.
And they needed
And then I had a chance to broadcast. I wasn't restricted to what I could play. That was a lot of fun.
Got you. When you first got into the business, Roland, you had a choice between music, news, whatever. What made you make the choice for music?
That's a great question. Actually, I just kind of gravitated towards being a disc jockey. In high school, I used to MC. I wanted to be an actor.
Really?
I really wanted to be an actor in high school. And so I did the plays in high school and MC'd the talent shows and everything when I was in high school back in Inkster, Michigan. And I don't know, when I was studying radio at broadcasting at Los Angeles City College, I already determined that I was not going to be an engineer. That wasn't
Not
for
for
me.
you.
No.
Right.
I just kind of gravitated towards being a disc jockey. I just kind of liked that part of it, and I loved music as well.
Sure.
So those kinds of combinations of music and the personality is kind of fit who I am.
You've worked in this business for many, many years. You've met a lot of broadcasters. Who are some of your favorites?
Larry McCormick. I think Larry McCormick was just one of the greatest personalities to hit the Los Angeles area. Larry was not only a radio personality, but he was an actor, and he also did news. He was one of the most versatile, talented people. Hunter Hancock,
Right.
Who was a legend in radio. As I said, Herman Griffith. Frankie Crocker. I loved Frankie. I loved his audacity.
He was like the king.
Hey, Hollywood.
Big, tall, handsome, good-looking brother.
Yeah, Frankie was very
Had a great
talented.
voice. Great voice.
I've worked with some great talent. Don Tracy, Buster Jones, who has since transitioned, but Big Jim Randolph, who actually started with Storer Broadcasting in 1956 when rock and roll, the top 40 format was formed. And Big Jim went to college with Dr. King and was program director here in Los Angeles, who actually hired me and brought me here. I had great respect for his mind. He had a great mind for broadcasting.
Yes.
Unfortunately, transitioned early, had a heart attack, and died in 1970.
Yes.
Much too early. But there are many. Jim Maddox, who had 1580 K-Day, really a bright mind.
And KGLH.
And KGLH. So there are many
Yes.
that I think are just so talented.
What about Montague?
Montague, I had a chance to meet. I wasn't but about 5'6". You know, when you listen to the radio, thought he was 8'9". But brilliant personality, knew exactly what he was doing, and knew his audience. And that Burn, Baby, Burn moniker, which 51 years ago when the Watts riot broke out, he was saying that in 1964 when I was in college. And it was just like, sock it to me, or get down, baby. But that was his moniker, Burn, Baby, Burn. And when the riots hit, he was saying, you know, the FCC called KGFJ and had him to cease and desist.
Yes, they sure did.
So you got to stop that.
Yeah.
So, but he's a great talent.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, rap artists today think they invented rap. But I got to tell you, the African American jocks were rapping in the 50s. That was the way that was their style. You know, hey, mama, yo, don't you know it's Roscoe? He was another one who was one of my favorite jocks. Yeah. Bill Mercer.
Bill Mercer, okay.
Yeah.
Because I grew up around New York.
Well, he went to New York after he left.
And D.C. radio.
He worked at KGFJ when I was in college, and he left here and went to New York.
Gotcha.
And
remember Soul Papa the Bebopper?
I do.
Terrible Turk, all
I
those
do.
guys out of
I
D.C.
do. Butterball.
Bobby Bennett, who passed
Bennett.
away last year.
Yes, he did.
Shocked us all.
Yes.
Oh, man, he was a good man.
You know, Hal Jackson, we lost him
Yes.
about a year or so ago. 90-something, still on the radio.
Still on the radio. Amazing. You have a way of signing off.
I do.
You say, good Bynum.
That is correct. Let me tell you how that happened.
Please.
It was 1969. I was working 6 to 9 in the evenings up against Wolfman Jack. I was brought here actually to be programming against Wolfman Jack. I was not using my name. I was Soul Finger, the real humdinger. I was 25 years old, and I went to Charlotte, North Carolina after I'd come here to program WGIV. Tracy Broadcasting purchased the station and wanted somebody to go south and program it. So I left L.A. to go down to learn the programming aspect. And when I came back, they put me on 6 to 9. And I was getting off the air. And I think that's the great thing about jocks. They're able to spin something out of their head right away. And I was getting off the air, and I was saying, this is Roland saying, and it just hit me, good. And I paused, Bynum. Because I wanted everybody to know it. I don't have a radio name. Roland Bynum is not like Sandy Creek or something like that. It's not a radio name. Right. And I promised myself that if I was going to be in radio, I was going to use my name. You know, I never changed my name. And so as I left there, I said, Roland saying, good. And that pause, pregnant pause, Bynum, and the hotline rang, and it was Jim Randolph. And I said, oh
no,
boy,
here we go.
I'm in trouble.
In trouble now.
No, he was laughing.
Great.
And I picked up the phone. He was laughing. He said, oh, my goodness, that's so great. Why didn't I think of that? And I told Jim, because your name isn't Bynum. And I've been using it since 1969.
69.
Yeah, souling with Roland and, good Bynum.
You do commercials, you do hops, you do all kind of stuff.
I've done commercials, voiceover work, and
yes.
I've been blessed with that.
I call it a gift from God. You have a gift from God.
Well,
Any broadcaster.
I'm humbled by the opportunity to have been able to do over several hundred commercials, voiceovers, and things like that in my career.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now you work at radio station KJLH.
I do.
Owned by
Stevie
Wonder.
Yeah, 102.3 Radio Free.
And I like y'all added that a couple of years ago. You added Radio Free.
Stevie's idea.
Yes.
Stevie's brilliant. And some people kind of fought it in the beginning.
Yes.
And he said, well, you got to understand that we're not pigeonholed with our music and our ideas and our concepts. And that's basically what it entailed. I loved it right away. I understood it right away as a programmer, what his intent was at the time. And certainly it's taken hold.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Radio Free.
I've been there 17 years. Had a hiatus. I want to tell you that many years ago, March 4th, 1977, I woke up one day and God gave me an idea called Music People. Music People is a show that I wrote about people behind the scenes. Everybody's not a star, but there are a lot of people who make the stars.
That's right.
And it was one of my concepts and ideas that not many people know about that I wrote. And that actually, when I went back to school to get my master's in broadcasting, I conceived the idea and put it together. It's called Music People. It's been on local cable for many years, so that's another one of the ideas that I had that has taken hold. I'm going to revisit that in the future and see where that can go. It's like Entertainment Tonight. It's one of the first ideas that I conceived many years ago. But Radio Free, I do an old school.
Old school.
Yeah.
And you do it in such a way that's a lot different from a lot of people. On Saturday morning from 5 a.m. until 9 a.m., if you're in this town and within the listening range, we tell folks, go to KGLH, Radio Free, and listen to what you're going to. You can take a Marvin Gaye and drop it in right when the timing is right. You can play a James Brown.
Thank you.
You just have that knack about you.
Well, again, I think having the opportunity to do Armed Forces Radio, where I was the programmer, where I could pick my music for all of those years, gave me that insight. Not only that, but listen, when I'm out in the streets, I pay attention to what people are listening to. If I go to a concert, I pay attention. I remember when, many years ago, when Al Green had the song out, Love and Happiness, and I was emceeing the show with my uncle and Al Green on the show, and I went out on the stage, and I began, before Al came, Love and Happiness, and the whole audience began to sing it. We weren't playing it on KGFJ at the time. We were playing something else. And Booker Griffin was my news director, said to me on that Monday, what was that song you were saying? And the whole audience knew, and I said, well, it's one of Al Green's great hits that's in the album called Love and Happiness. Yes. You have to have a certain insight as to what the music is. You got to really do the research. And I think that's what's important. And as I said, having been able to program music for all the years with Armed Forces Radio has given me that knack.
Gotcha.
You got to pay attention. You got to really listen.
Yes. Can I back up just a second? You said my uncle. You got a famous uncle?
Who said he's famous?
We say he's famous.
Yeah, I do. I grew up as a foster youth.
Yes.
1968, Mother's Day weekend, I met my mom, my dad, 9 brothers and sisters.
Okay.
Well, the month before that, I was at the Coconut Grove. Marvin Gaye was performing, and this guy and his group were there. And my wife at the time, I said, I've been playing his music for all these years. Remember when we had talent shows in Detroit and everything, and used to see them. And I walked over and introduced myself to him. And he said, hey, baby, yeah, baby, how you doing? You on KGFJ, baby? And I said, yeah, man. Well, a month later, May of 1968, I discovered that Smokey Robinson was my mother's little brother, and that's who it was. And we are actually almost the same age. He's 11 months older than I. My oldest brother, Tyrone, is actually a week older than Smokey. My mom and grandmother were pregnant at the same time, and discovered that Smokey was my uncle. Wow. And it's been a close-knit situation ever since.
He's famous. He's famous.
He is.
And he's good. Him and the Miracles of all those years.
Yeah.
The music they brought to Motown.
Yeah. He's a genius, man. Yeah. So.
That's one of the things about the romance between the broadcasting industry and the record industry. That's what makes this industry so
you
sweet.
can't have one without the other.
Exactly.
You just can't have one without the other.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, Smoke's family. Yeah.
In fact, they even did a thing for him at certain times of the day when they do the Quiet Storm, which is a song he sang years ago, as you know. They gave that time period. They call it the Smokey Robinson time.
Actually, that song was written,
The Quiet Time,
co-written with my mother's sister.
Get out.
Rosella Jones.
All
Aunt
right.
Woody. Aunt Woody actually wrote the basics of that song, and I asked Aunt Woody, how long did it take you? She says, "Oh, baby, about an hour and a half to write that song, Quiet Storm." Yeah, it's all in the DNA.
When you see Smokey again, please give him my
I will.
best. Aunt Claudette, give him my best, please.
I absolutely will.
Because you guys got a great staff over there at KGLH. You got more in the morning. You got who's on in the morning? You got
Well, they got the syndicated Steve Harvey, which is highly rated. Nautica de la Cruz, midday. Lon McHugh has been there for 30 years. Imagine
another
that.
Marine, another
Marine.
Yep.
Lon McHugh. You also have Mac and Amici in the afternoons, which in the beginning a lot of people didn't get them. I got it right away.
Yes.
They have a wonderful team, and then
Tammy's
Kevin
crazy.
Nash.
Tammy's too much.
Yeah, she is really brilliant.
Brilliant.
Doing her one-woman bag show. If you haven't ever seen that, that's really a wonderful piece.
Oh, yeah.
She's an actor, and that's what she studied in college. But broadcasting is a way for her to go into that arena, of course. And then Kevin Nash, who I just love, who my daughter was born, both of them born on the same day. One of my babies, one of my 13 children.
Okay.
Yeah, I said 13.
Yeah, 13. I was looking at you, 13. Yeah, that's a small baseball team.
That's small, I would say, yeah.
So you got Kevin Nash, who's on at night?
And then overnights, it's Hugh Fuller.
Okay.
Overnights now, and Hugh was over at one of the Quiet Storm, the Wave. He was over there at one time, but he's been over there for a number of years as well.
And then you got the weekends. You got yourself. You got who else on the weekend? Who comes after you?
I have no idea. No, I'm just kidding. No one's on after me. No, it's Guy Black.
Guy Black,
a
yes.
true broadcaster.
True.
Yeah, just a great broadcaster.
Yes,
Hugh
and nice
Fuller,
guy. Yes.
Cameron Green, who I just love. She's so talented.
Isn't she?
And then they have the mixed show at night. So it's a wonderful lineup. LV does gospel because, KGLH is the only radio station in Los Angeles that has 24-hour gospel on Sundays from midnight to midnight. Yeah. So there you go. There's the lineup.
And of course, your program director, Andre Russell, he does the Sunday show.
Andre Russell does the Sunday Spread the Word, right?
Oh, that show is marvelous.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well received. Number one for many years.
Yes.
In Los Angeles.
Yes.
Gospel show on Sundays.
Indeed. A lot of people ask me the question, what does KJLH stand for?
John Lamar Hill, who bought the station in 1966, got the license. Actually, it was in Long Beach. You heard he played Frank Sinatra just as a toy.
Yes.
And we got serious when Rod McGrew came on board and began to program to the greater Los Angeles area. And John Lamar Hill said, we're going to use those call letters as kindness, joy, love, and happiness. KJLH. And that stuck with the station all these years.
Wow.
Kindness, joy, love, and happiness.
Well, we want to thank you.
We are you.
Yes, we are you.
Yeah. KJLH.
How do you want to be remembered?
I want my children. I want to be remembered as a good husband and a good father, first of all.
Gotcha.
I mean, my family is very important.
Oh, yes.
My wife and my children are very important. I'm writing a book.
Okay.
My life. It's a book on resiliency because, as I said, I was a foster youth from the time I was 11 months. I was taken out of my mom's arms until I emancipated at 17 when I graduated from high school and joined the Marine Corps. And so I just want to be remembered as just a good guy, man, just a nice person, as a humble person who loves everybody and one who has just given up the community. Because, I've been in the community of the greater Los Angeles area ever since I came into radio 49 years ago. And so the community is who I am. And one who loves Los Angeles, loves people, and just a good guy, man, I never tried to be a star. That's never been my calling. Yeah, if I receive something, it's by the grace of God.
Gotcha.
And that's where it comes from, God's grace.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, my brother, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, my pleasure.
Actor's choice. Have I been acting?
You've been acting very well. Thank you so much.
Love you,
As
brother.
they say, goodbye.
All righty.
God bless
Thank you,
you.
sir. Thanks, Ron.
And I want to thank April Sutton for coming by today. We really enjoyed having her here. Like I said, these are two folks that I've known for a long, long time. Love them. See you next time.